colorectal cancer is one of the main killers of cancer, in the world, right? So it is, I believe, the second leading cancer death in the United States. And it doesn't have to be that way. I think that's why we're doing what we're doing. And our test is actually designed in a way to pick up, cancer at an earlier stage and being able to then, eliminate late stage cancer.
My next guest is Guido Baechler. He's the CEO of Mainz Biomed, trades on NASDAQ under the symbol MYNZ. Good morning, Guido. How are you?
Good morning, James. I'm very good. How are you?
Great, thanks very much. Guido, tell us about the business of Mainz Biomed.
Yeah, so Mainz Biomed is a diagnostic company focused on developing molecular tests for early detection of cancer. One of our lead tests is a test called ColoAlert, which is focusing on early detection of colorectal cancer.
What stage of development is your pipeline at this point?
So our ColoAlert test is actually CE marked and approved for sale in Europe. We're commercializing it already in Europe, and we are in the process of also starting to work with the FDA to get the product, approved in the U.S.
I see. And what is the sort of addressable market size? How prevalent is this form of cancer?
So the market size is very significant. When you look at just the U.S. alone, it's a market size for us is roughly about $4 to $5 billion. There is a company called Exact Sciences out as well, who is ahead of the game. They're having about $1 billion revenue in the U.S. And based on their feedback, it's less than 5% of the market. So the colorectal cancer screening market is very significant because of some guidelines, recent guidelines as well, that everybody above age 45 should be tested very regularly. So you can imagine we're talking about, millions of people that should be tested every year.
Yeah, the health system in Ontario where I live, they automatically send out a test kit to anybody who's over the age of 50. And so I think they do it every 5 years. I remember just getting a notice that it's time for me again. So, colorectal cancer, what are the typical sort of characteristics of it relative to other cancers?
So I think some of the main characteristics is that, first of all, James, colorectal cancer is one of the main killers of cancer, in the world, right? So it is, I believe, the second leading cancer death in the United States. And it doesn't have to be that way. I think that's why we're doing what we're doing, because, a lot of people, again, you mentioned before, you get your kid at home, and most people don't do the test. And the test that's been shipped out is okay, but it's not great because it's missing a lot of cases. And so, when you look at colorectal cancer, if it's detected early, right, because, it's often diagnosed as when you have stool, you have abdominal pains and you have blood in your stool, but then it's often already too late. So you do want to come in earlier. And our test is actually designed in a way to pick up, cancer at an earlier stage and being able to then, eliminate late stage cancer, because the survival rate is significantly high if you detect the cancer early. Again, it's like a pancreatic cancer, for example, is one it's almost always deadly because it's identified so late. Colorectal cancer can be detected much earlier, and as a result, you increase, the survival rate significantly.
So then, how soon until the product is approved in the United States and Canada?
So we're starting with the FDA discussion this year, and we're planning to enroll the study this year, depending on the feedback. So it will be, probably at least 3 years out before the product is available in the US. But again, the important part, James, is that the product is already available, commercializing in Europe. We're expanding it into, we started off in Germany, where MYNZ is based, in the beautiful city of Mainz outside of Frankfurt.
Wow.
We're actually in a similar facility of a Biotech, which many of your audience probably very familiar with the Pfizer with the vaccine that was developed. And so we're actually commercializing it in Germany. We're expanding outside of Europe, potential Middle East and Asia, while we're getting ready, performing the large study that's required for the FDA.
What other products are you developing?
So the next product that we have in the pipeline is pancreatic cancer, which is going to be a very similar concept of what we're having today with ColoAlert. And I think there's one point I do want to highlight, James, with our product. Like you mentioned before, you get a product shipped at home. We're doing the same thing. So our collection kit is very, very simple. So we send it to you at home. You take a few samples of stool, send it in, put it in an envelope, put it back into the mail, and you get the test results. So it's extremely easy done. And what's also important is it's from a turnaround time. It allows us to, our product is able to be performed in any laboratories, and I think that's a really important part of our story, which I like the audience to really understand. The current market leader in colorectal cancer in the United States, Exact Sciences, they have a centralized laboratory where they send kits all around the world, all around the US. The test is not available outside of the US. And basically then patients have to send the kit back into one central lab. And so our approach is different. So we want to work. We're able to actually sell kits to laboratories like large laboratories like LabCorp and Quest and Arup and Mayo, and we'll provide the kits to them, and then they can actually send it to their physicians and their patients. So it's a very efficient way to actually, provide the screening, the colorectal screening tool to a larger population rather than doing it by yourself. So that business model, James, is actually really, really important, an important differentiator what we're doing compared to, let's say, Exact Sciences.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so then you really wouldn't need necessarily to get approval in Canada. So, for example, if I wanted to take the test, would it be possible for me then just to order a test directly from your offices in Germany?
No, we would have to go through the Canadian approval process, which we're planning to do as well, James.
Okay.
Absolutely. This is one thing that we will look as well. Again, the company went public recently. We're expanding, our operational reach, our commercial reach. Canada is certainly also a place that we want to explore. And there's certainly a required, approval from the Canadian authority to be able to test you since you live in Canada.
Right. So then I guess it's pretty obvious that the compelling logic for getting tested early is that you have a better chance of surviving the disease, correct?
That's correct, yeah. That's exactly right. And that's the main passion of Mainz Biomed. It really is providing to all of us, right? Because we all know somebody that has, family member, friends, neighbors that actually died of cancer, and in almost all cases, the survival rate would have been significantly higher if that cancer would have been detected earlier. And so that's really the main story, James. It's all about developing those specific, tests, and one thing is important, right? Our test is a simple PCR test, which is, 3 years ago, if I would have asked you what PCR is, you probably would have said, what are you talking about? But now with COVID, everybody understands that PCR is a very standard technology that, is very sensitive and can detect, very, very small genetic variations or genes of viruses, or in our case, cancer cells, to basically help you, get into the pipeline earlier on and making sure you get treated. In our case, when our test is positive, what you would do then, you would do a colonoscopy. And the colonoscopy is still the gold standard to really then help you. It will remove, cancerous cells. And basically, with our desire to even prevent cancer from happening, because some of the tests that we're working on is also helping to even detect lesions in your abdomen that are actually potentially cancerous, but before they get cancerous, you can remove them already. So our goal really is to move ahead and develop tests that prevent cancer from happening in the first place. And that's the colorectal cancer is a very nice way to be able to do this, because we have access to that tests to fix those issues.
Okay, Guido, well, let's leave it there for now. I'm going to come back to you in due course, and I look forward to actually using your product in Canada as soon as it's available.
Super.
Yeah.
Thank you, James. Thanks for having me on your show. Appreciate it.
You bet. We'll have you back soon. Thank you very much, Guido.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.